Players will be able to create brand new characters and experience a faithful recreation of early Maplestory. This is a statement that was taken from the trailer that was posted 2 months ago. It's quite clear that Nexon want to bring back something special and nostalgic, but towards the end of the statement, they said that we would also be enjoying quality of life additions from GMS. According to the AI overview in Google search, quality of life refers to changes that improve the overall player experience without necessarily altering core gameplay mechanics. So, in other words, the aim of this is to make the user experience more enjoyable. I will touch on some of these additions towards the end of this video, but I want to break down the trailer a little bit and talk about some of the problems that had existed back then and how Nexon may or may not approach fixing them with their quality of life additions. Before I even watched half of the trailer, this had already crossed my mind because I remember it being one of the biggest issues that we faced, if not the biggest issue. I remember those days where I would give up grinding because it was so time consuming, boring, and it was just hard to train in certain maps because it would already be preoccupied by someone else. It took me around 4 years to reach level 100, and some of the party quests weren't even available when I joined. Orbis party quest wasn't released yet, and Magatia party quest arrived around 2010 or the end of 2009. Anyway, call me lazy, I was stuck for many months. So Nexon could approach it like this. They could keep everything at a 1x rate and not change anything. They could keep the 1x rate but reduce the amount of EXP required to level. They could boost the rates but keep the amount of EXP required to level. They could boost the rates and also reduce the amount of EXP required to level. Or they could change each monster's rates individually. They probably won't go with that one though. In this clip, you can see that this character is level 26 at 98.20% with 53,910 experience points. In the original EXP table, it shows that you would need around 54,900 points to reach level 27. So it seems to suggest that at this point in time, Nexon aren't thinking of reducing the amount of EXP required, at least for the low levels. In terms of the amount of EXP you gain, I couldn't find a shot of how much EXP a single mob would give. All I could find was this shot, 5+ EXP being gained once an Iron Hog was killed. In old school Maple, an Iron Hog gave 99 points, and here it's quite difficult to pinpoint if it's the same. There are a lot of variables at play. We don't know if the EXP was gained from a kill steal or if it was gained through a party kill. And hypothetically, if the EXP rate was, let's say, 1.5, then the Iron Hog would give around 148 XP points, which would make this seem low anyway. So I'm inclined to believe that Nexon aren't changing anything yet, but they are intentionally being secretive about this, which may suggest that some sort of change is being thought of. If they want to add a quality of life addition whilst maintaining a nostalgic feeling, then they should implement this one. It doesn't make sense to increase the EXP rate when there are already private servers doing this. I'm sure that they've kept a close eye on them as well as the servers in Maple Worlds. So if they really want to stand out, then the EXP rate has to remain at 1x. Regarding the drop rate, it was definitely challenging to get the items that we farmed. I cannot stress enough how hard it was to get this thing. I mean, look at this. It has a 0.015% chance of dropping. Do you know how insane that is? There may have been one mushmum, but it was still statistically easier to get an Ilby. Anyway, I don't really have an opinion on whether the drop rate should be changed. Even if there were subtle changes, it wouldn't really make a significant difference. And I guess it's nice to have that challenge, knowing that when a rare item actually drops, it'll feel good. In this shot, you can clearly see that the characters have different hairstyles, hair colors, and facial features, but they are all wearing the bog standard outfits. This made me believe that Nexon might give more cosmetic options to customize your character upon creation without having to spend NX. However, this shot here sort of debunks this theory. All the characters on Maple Island seem to have the standard haircuts and facial defaults. Apart from this shot though, this character has purple hair. Old school Maple didn't have many options to dye the hair, but it seems like it's going to be an addition upon character creation. Assuming that Moria doesn't exist, the hairstyles and facial changes were probably bought in the cosmetic stores with coupons from the cash shop. While I understand that Nexon will want to make money from this project, they will still need to take player satisfaction into consideration. So there needs to be a balance with pricing, the duration of how long you can have an item for, and whether or not some items should even exist in the cash shop. For example, owls. Some people believe that having this item took away the joy of shopping around the FM. Anyway, Nexon could approach this in a few ways. They could not change anything at all. They could allow outfits, pets and items to be bought for permanent. They could offer 2 different prices, one for permanent and one at a 90-day cap. Or they could do option B or C, but also listen to the community to what should be removed or changed. Obviously, if Nexon don't change anything at all, then they will pretty much be shooting themselves in the foot. We are definitely not paying hundreds of bucks on AP resets for HP washing. Why would we do that? Literally, private servers offer this for free. Just strike a good balance for both parties and listen to what's being debated. Or in other words, spoil us, but don't spoil us too much. When I observed the user interface in the trailer and cross-referenced it to some of my old videos, there aren't too many changes. As you can see, there's still the shortcut key, keyboard, the book, this, and this? Well, whatever it is, it seems to have been replaced with this icon. I don't know what this icon's function will be. Maybe it's to report something. The shortcut, menu and cash shop buttons are still there. Empty EXP bar seems to be in black, whereas it used to be in silver, and everything else such as the text chat and font look a bit more refined. The main noticeable change is obviously how far the user interface spans across the screen. I don't have an issue with this, but I can understand why people would prefer to see it span all the way across the screen, as that was what they were used to seeing before. And that's about it really. Nexon don't show a lot. I would love to see them keep the old layout when opening things like the buddy list, but I have a sneaky feeling they won't go that far back. And this here looks like some kind of notification, maybe that a quest has been completed. I hope it's not a notification that a friend has logged in. For nostalgic purposes, Nexon should definitely keep the red version. Overall, they are either gonna keep the user interface and interactive features faithful to the original, or they'll add some small but noticeable changes. As much as I would love to see everything kept as much to the original as possible, unfortunately, I don't think this is gonna happen. I recently found this funny but interesting meme. Obviously, it was posted by a person who played the game during its peak, and I couldn't help but think about what Nexon's endgame is. Here they show a sneak peek of what content is to be expected upon release, and yeah, they weren't joking around when they said they are going to bring back the original experience. Starting with only Maple Island, Victoria Island and 4 classes is pretty original. Although I do think Orbis will be added, because that was also a very early part of the game, but let's see. As much as I like the meaning behind this meme, Nexon will still need to release content regularly at a slow but steady pace. We have to be honest with ourselves here. When the nostalgia goes away, the game will start to get a bit boring, and before you know it, everyone's gone. So they will need to keep us stimulated with regular events, updates and content releases, and I think they'll do it. They can either follow a structure of releasing the old content in a similar fashion to before. They could release old content when needed and create some brand new content. Or maybe I'm completely wrong and they won't release anything at all. I don't know how they are going to approach it, and I don't know what their strategy is to releasing content and when, but wouldn't it be exciting if we got some brand new content exclusively just for Classic World? I remember how I felt when I first entered Ludibrium. The quests, origins of the clock tower, Deep Ludi, the gatekeeper. It had a good story and the Lego theme was designed really well. Just imagine if Nexon released something like that. Something that was fresh, simple, but compelling. Because with the old content, we already know what to expect. I don't know. What do you guys think? This is such an iconic phrase to me. For those who don't know the meaning behind it, It refers to the notion that only one party is allowed to enter a party quest per channel, and that if you knew who was inside, then you'd get invited to a party and would have a small advantage over the other parties in trying to enter. The only downside is that if another party gained entry before you, then you'd effectively have to wait another 30 minutes or change channel. Pretty irritating. But it also got me thinking about the other little things that existed in the game that also like to test my patience. Things like the boat ride to Orbis, the Iron Hog at Pig Beach, and those endless walks up Eos Tower. Nexon said that they want to add some quality of life additions, and if they fixed all of the issues I just mentioned, then it would technically improve our quality of life in the game, right? But if they do that, then it's going to remove a part of what made the game so special in the first place. So perhaps in some circumstances, maybe it's better to just do nothing. I understand that some of these issues were frustrating for people, but let's think about it from another perspective. Take the boat ride to Orbis, for example. It took a long time to arrive, then another few minutes to prepare for takeoff, and the journey was quite long, totaling to around 15 minutes. But in reality, this is a regular occurrence for us in our everyday lives. Every takeaway you order, every coffee you buy, every taxi you book, you've still got to wait. Yes, the wait can be tedious, but that's life. And if you got sent back to the boat station because you got killed by these things, well, that's on you. Having these inconveniences in the game gives it an element of realism, and that's something a lot of other games struggle to achieve. So I don't think Nexon should mess around with all the small stuff. If anything, they should really focus their attention on preventing issues such as hacking, botting, scamming, server lags, and frequent disconnecting. Now those were the real issues. I haven't played GMS in over a decade, so I'm not going to talk a lot about what quality of life improvements should be added to Classic World, but I shouldn't imagine too many because Classic World is not going to have a lot of content upon release. Improvements I can think of that could be useful include expanding the slots in the inventory or buddy list, having the option to disable login notifications. They could decrease boss timers slightly, allow assassins to throw stars close to monsters, the reward items you gain from quests to not have an expiration date, and I think down jump would be a good addition, but definitely not up jump. And speaking of things not to add or remove, please don't remove pre-quests for bosses. I think we can all secretly admit that we enjoyed watching everyone fail in this jump quest. Don't remove pre-quests for job advancements, and don't add this. I've never seen this before and I don't want to see it. So don't add things that didn't exist back then. Anyway, I've spoken a lot already. Let me know in the comments what you think Classic World should or shouldn't have, and I'll catch you in the next video.